In 1997, neuroscientist Wolfram Schultz was studying dopamine neurons in macaque monkeys. He was delivering juice rewards and measuring when dopamine fired. What he found overturned the dominant understanding of dopamine. It provided the neurological foundation for the most consequential behavior modification system ever deployed at scale. Dopamine did not fire when the reward arrived. It fired in anticipation of the reward. And when a reward that had been anticipated did not arrive, dopamine dropped below baseline. The wanting creates a deficit. The not getting deepens it. The getting relieves it, but only briefly, only to be followed by the next cycle of anticipation. This is not a personality trait. This is the mechanism that Silicon Valley built a $2 trillion industry on. The specific experience I want you to recall: you pick up your phone. You check. Nothing new. You put it down. 40 seconds later, you pick it up again. You know nothing new has arrived. You check anyway. Something in you that is not rational, that cannot be easily instructed to stop, keeps returning to the device. That is not a habit. That is not weakness. That is a variable reward schedule operating on your dopaminergic system, with the precision of equipment designed specifically for that purpose by engineers who understood the neuroscience better than most psychologists. In the next 18 minutes, I am going to decode the full architecture of how your phone hijacked your reward system. I'm going to show you what dopamine actually is, not the pleasure chemical, but the wanting machine, and why that distinction changes everything about how you understand compulsive behavior. I'm going to connect it to B.F. Skinner's 1950s research on variable reward schedules, the same research that produced slot machines and that produced Instagram. I'm going to show you exactly how this research was deployed in Silicon Valley using the testimony of engineers and designers who were inside the system. And I'm going to give you the neuroplasticity research that tells you what recovery actually requires. Wolfram Schultz published his reward prediction error findings in Science in 1997. They have been replicated and extended across hundreds of subsequent studies and form the basis of the computational neuroscience model of motivation. B.F. Skinner's variable reward schedule research at Harvard between 1938 and 1959 is among the most replicated findings in psychology. Tristan Harris testified before the United States Senate Commerce Committee in 2017 specifically about the deployment of these techniques in technology product design. This is not theory. Let's decode the mechanism. The popular neuroscience characterization of dopamine as the pleasure chemical is wrong in a way that matters. The research makes a critical distinction between wanting and liking. Dopamine drives wanting, the motivational push toward a reward, the anticipatory state, the compulsive orientation toward something that might deliver. Opioid systems, by contrast, drive liking, the hedonic pleasure of the reward itself. These are separable systems, and they can be dissociated. A rat with a damaged dopaminergic system will not seek food, but if food is placed in its mouth, it will show normal pleasure responses. It has lost the wanting without losing the liking. A rat given dopamine agonists in a context with no rewarding stimuli will engage in frantic, repetitive behaviors, compulsively wanting without any actual target worth wanting. The implication is this: dopamine does not tell you that something is pleasurable. It tells you that something might be pleasurable, or that something that was previously pleasurable is available. It drives anticipation and seeking, and it creates the deficit, the withdrawal, when the anticipated reward does not arrive. This means that a system designed to maximize dopaminergic engagement does not need to deliver genuine pleasure. It only needs to deliver the anticipation of possible reward, consistently enough to maintain the seeking behavior, infrequently enough that certainty never develops. The architecture of wanting, not of getting. In 1938 B.F., Skinner conducted a series of experiments with rats in Oppard conditioning chambers, what subsequently became known as Skinner boxes. He varied the schedule on which a lever press produced a food pellet. Fixed schedules, press 5 times, get food produced reliable, but limited lever pressing. Variable schedules, press an unpredictable number of times, sometimes get food, produced something different. They produced compulsive, near-continuous lever pressing that was highly resistant to extinction. The variable ratio schedule is the most potent reinforcement schedule ever identified. Slot machines operate on variable ratio schedules. Slot machines are, in terms of their neural impact, the most effective behavior modification devices humans have constructed in a physical environment. They are also the direct ancestor of the pull to refresh function on your social media feed. Tristan Harris has described explicitly that the pull to refresh function was designed as a slot machine. Every time you pull down the feed like pulling a slot machine lever, you get a variable result. Sometimes new, interesting content. Sometimes nothing. The variability is the feature, not a limitation. The variability is what produces the compulsive return. Notifications are the same architecture. The notification arrives at unpredictable intervals, contains content of unpredictable value, and when checked, sometimes delivers something rewarding. A like, a message from someone important, and sometimes delivers nothing. The phone is a slot machine that also makes calls. In 2007, Stanford psychologist B.J. Fogg established the Persuasive Technology Lab and began teaching a course on the application of behavioral science to technology design. The course produced a generation of engineers who went directly into Facebook, Google, Instagram, Twitter, and Snapchat. Fogg's framework specified the exact conditions under which behavior change occurs, motivation, ability, and a trigger aligned at the right moment. The technology products that alumni of his course subsequently designed were optimized along all 3 axes simultaneously. The like button, introduced by Facebook in 2009, is perhaps the most consequential single interface element in the history of technology. It is a variable reward dispenser. Post something, and sometimes get a reward, likes, engagement, sometimes get nothing. The unpredictability of the response is what makes it compulsive rather than merely pleasant. Former Facebook President Sean Parker stated in 2017 that the explicit design question asked during Facebook's development was, "How do we consume as much of your time and conscious attention as possible?" The answer was, give people a little dopamine hit every once in a while because someone liked or commented on a photo or post, which will make them want to produce more content. This was not discovered accidentally. It was applied neuroscience deployed at scale. The researchers who identified the mechanism were studying rat behavior in laboratories. The engineers who deployed it had 2 billion users. The neuroplasticity research demonstrates 2 things. First, sustained exposure to high-frequency, low-depth stimulation remodels the attentional architecture of the brain. Chronic social media use is associated with reduced capacity for sustained attention. Increased default mode network activation during tasks requiring focus, and a lowered threshold for the boredom that precedes distraction seeking. The brain literally reshapes around the pattern of use. Second, and this is the recovery point, this remodeling is reversible. The same plasticity that allowed the rewiring to occur allows the unwiring to occur. The research on reduced smartphone use digital fasting, and attention recovery protocols shows measurable improvements in sustained attention capacity within weeks. Not months, weeks. But the recovery requires what the system was designed to prevent: the tolerance of the dopaminergic deficit. The feeling that occurs in the gap between picking up the phone and the next variable reward, the restlessness, the mild anxiety, the sense that something is being missed, is not a sign that something is wrong. It is the withdrawal curve. It is the deficit Schultz measured in 1997. And the only way through it is through it. Your phone is not a tool that you sometimes use compulsively. It is a behavior modification system engineered by the most sophisticated application of neuroscience ever deployed at consumer scale, to which you have continuous, unrestricted access, which was placed in your pocket before you understood what it was. The compulsive checking is not a failure of will. It is the designed output of a machine built to produce it. The engineers who built it knew what they were building. The investors who funded it knew what they were funding. And the regulatory structures that might have constrained it remained largely uninvolved until well after 2 billion people had been conditioned. That is not comfortable information. But it is necessary information. Because you cannot address a system you cannot see. And now you can see it. The subscribe button means the next Decoded framework reaches you directly. No algorithm required.